In our previous video, I showed you how to take our original template and edit the word art that already exists inside the template into something that is more suitable for the title that you will be creating in your book cover. Going back to my inspiration that I researched on the internet, this was the book series that I'm working on recreating. In a previous lesson, I redesigned this book cover, and now I'm working on redesigning the book cover for Catching Fire. For this video, I'm going to be showing you how to look on the internet for some images that are either going to work or they're not going to work. First of all, let's go back to our current project. So right up in here is where I plan on placing in my icon or clip art, whatever you want to call it. My previous book cover, or book number 1, looked like this. And I kind of want to stick with that theme of the Mockingjay pin, so I did a little bit of research. In this tab, I found the exact pin I used for book 1. It looks great. Here were my key things that I looked for. I went in and I typed in the words that I was looking for, so it's called the Mockingjay. For those of you who have read the book, you know that. And then at the end of my search, I typed in .png. Those 3 letters are really important. That allows me to narrow down my search on the internet to images that are gonna be a little bit closer to what I want. This image is exactly what I want. I know because before I click on the image, it has a white background. I see my picture, white background, but as soon as I click on the image, I get a checkerboard background. That doesn't mean that when I move it in to my book cover, it's going to have a checkerboard background. Your computer communicates a checkerboard background as transparent or completely see-through, just like the windows in a room. This image off to the side is a little bit deceitful because when I see it, it has a checkerboard background. So I'm going to go ahead and think that, ooh, it must be a PNG. But when I click on it, it still has the checkerboard. But when I go to move it in, 9 times out of 10, it's going to keep that checkerboard because the thumbnail had the checkerboard. And here it is, the 9 times out of 10. Let's go back to our .png search. This one looks promising. It has a white background. It's the Mockingjay, but when I go to click on it, it has a white background, so that's not going to work. On top of that, it's really pixelated. That would not look very good on my book cover. So I did a little bit more research. Some other pictures that I found that looked promising were something like this. That looks really neat, but there's a huge problem with this. This image has what we call a watermark. You can't use an image that has a watermark. That will cause you to lose points. The watermarks are there for copyright protection, so don't choose one that has a watermark. Let's see what I have on this tab. This tab looked really promising as well, but again, it has the white background. Going back to my book cover inspiration, that's still not even quite the Mockingjay that I was going for. Notice the Mockingjay changes from one book to the next. This is really the Mockingjay that I'm going for. So I changed up my search. On this tab, I changed it to catchingfire.png, and I got some good stuff. So here's the one I'm hoping is going to work. I haven't tried it yet, so we're going to cross our fingers. It's promising because when I look at it on my Google image search, it has a white background. But as soon as I click on it, it turns checkerboard, which is the key. Plus, it looks a whole lot like the Mockingjay on my sample. So I'm going to take this one, and it's so easy to get it into my book. I'm clicking on my mouse. I'm going to drag, and I'm going to drop it onto this tab with my book cover. And now, I'm going to plop it. I'm still holding my mouse, and I'm going to let go, and it's going to drop that image in. And look at that. It turned out great. This is exactly the right style. Now, it's actually a mirror image of my inspiration book, but that's okay because this is a redesign. I don't want to make that exact same book cover. I want to make my own new version. So I'm on the right track. I have my icon. I have my wrong one, so I'm going to click on that and hit delete on my keyboard. Now I'm going to resize this image. Be really careful when you're resizing images. If you take the blue bounding boxes on the side, you're going to goof up your proportions. Don't do that. I'm going to do a Control Z to undo. That was on my keyboard. A Control Z allows me to undo my last thing. It's going to do the same thing if I resize it from the side bounding box. So don't do that. Control Z to undo. But if I go to the corner, no matter where I move, my box will stay at that same proportion. So I can resize it. I can make it way smaller, I can make it way bigger, and my proportions will remain the same. I know I need to make it smaller than the original. That's a little too small, but I'm just going to move it around. And that looks pretty good. I kind of like the size of that. I'm going to use my arrow keys to move it up, and then I'm going to use my mouse to bring it to the center. Notice I keep getting that line that's red. That indicates center, that red vertical line. So I'm going to drop it in right there. Now because I added in my picture, after I added in my words, I need to change the order of that. I don't want my picture to be in front of my words. So to make that change, I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to right click with the mouse. Now if you're using a Chromebook in class, you can't do a right click. In order to accomplish getting this box up, what you're going to do is a 2-finger click on the trackpad for your Chromebook. So we'll open up that box, either a 2-finger click on your Chromebook or a right click with your mouse. Then you're going to go to order, and we are not going to send it to the back because this is what's going to happen. That didn't work. It sent it all the way behind this gray box that was already inserted into our template. So I'm going to undo and I'm going to try it again. I'm going to right click, I'm going to choose order, and I'm going to send it backwards. It's probably now just hiding behind this set of word art, so I'm going to do it again. Right click, order, send backward. It's probably now just behind fire because that was the next thing I added. Yep, look at that. So now I'm going to right click one more time, order, and send backwards. Geez, I have a lot of extra things in here. Let's do that one more time. Hopefully that's the ticket. There we go. Now it's behind both word arts for my title. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to use my arrow key. There we go. And move it down. Move down, catching fire. Let's see, get those 4 arrows. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Let's try that again. Get those 4 arrows. There we go. Now I'm moving the word catching. Oh, that looks great. I really like how the tail of the Mockingjay is like catching in between the H and the I. So now I'm just going to use my arrow keys to carefully move down the word fire. It's looking really good. Oop, the I is touching the H. So 1 more click. 2 more. 2's too much. 1 is good. Ooh, that's really looking nice. I'm going to move this over. There we go, just like that. Yep, that's what I want it to look like. So now I like my image. I like where my words are placed. Not loving the words, but I'll work on that later. In our next video tutorial, I'm going to show you a couple of options for your background. You can get to that video by clicking on the link right off to the side or using the links within Schoology.